Welcome. Thank you guys all for coming. My name is Ashley ANDREAS, and I'm part of the group Upper Valley Young Liberals that is hosting this. So I just wanted to say a little bit what Upper Valley Young Liberals is in case some of you here don't know. We are a group founded about 4 months ago by Nick Clark and a bunch of ex-Bernie Sanders campaigners and people working in the West Lebanon office for Bernie, like Allie Hannigan, our vice chair, who's now working for Matt Dunn. And the mission of our organization is to foster and encourage cultural and political participation from young people. Our group is not exclusive to young people, but we do try to push people under 35 to hold executive positions, try to get them into leadership roles that they might not otherwise be able to experience. And we've done a lot in the past 4 months. We've had people elected as national delegates, including myself. We have people running for office. We have people getting involved on the municipal level. So it's been really successful, and part of our model is that we have committees that branch off, and each committee, anything can be made into a committee if there's a member who has the desire or passion about a specific topic to do it. And Olivia LaPierre over here is extremely passionate about the environment and sustainability, and she came to us and started coming to meetings and said she was interested in doing a sustainability committee, which she has headed. And today, this is the committee's first event. So next we have Erin Mullen, who is the creator and owner of Design You, a clothing line. And she's gonna give an overview of sustainable fashion and the benefits provided as a result. So, Erin?
I own Define You, and that means, how many of you have heard of Define You? Okay, so some of you. So Define You came about, transition to a few different things. I have my master's in library science, and like Stager was just saying, libraries just aren't really cutting it that much these days, unfortunately. And I had worked for a private education institution as a data analyst and doing the 9-to-5 grind, and just really don't feel like I'm contributing much to my community. And this isn't fun. And I think anything you're doing, you should really enjoy it, and it should be fun. So Define You, I started back in 2014. It started as an online thrift store, and then it shipped into a consignment shop, and then ultimately into a design line. So Define You has gone through a transitional period, as well as myself as a professional. So I'm a single mom as well, and providing for him and having flexibility in scheduling and so forth, it's tough. So this gave me an opportunity to give back to my community, be sustainable, and be a parent all in one. So Define You, I was meeting with a UVYL group for the co-working space that we've been working on. And one of the gals was asking me, hey, are you gonna be part of the fashion show at the Main Street Museum? I went, no, not really. She's like, well, if you want me to wear something of yours, I'll wear it. So I gave her a couple of things to try on, a couple of gals, one of the gals from UVYL, she wore something too. And I just called up Mark Merrill, I don't know if you're familiar with who he is. He's one of the guys over at the Main Street Museum, and he was operating the whole shebang. So I called him and was like, hey, just so you know, I have a couple of people wearing my line at your show, is that okay? He's like, all right, well, tell me about it. I'm like, well, I upcycle and I repurpose. What does that mean? So, upcycling, you have a jacket, and it had holes in it and stains. And it's like, well, there's some integrity there. We can try and work something. And I'm like, I like lace, I like color, I like fun. So I was like, well, let me just kind of play with it. So I go on Pinterest too for some inspiration. Go on Pinterest if you check it out, it's great. And I saw some lace, and I was like, I kind of like that. Easier said than done, right? So I've been sewing since I was about 6 years old. My grandmother taught me. And she's been working since she was 6 years old. She started in factories down in Boston, chasing bobbins, and those factories without the ventilation and so forth. So she taught me, everything I know when it comes to sewing. And lace and tulle and satin, all those difficult fabrics and so forth. So I looked at what I had and I was like, all right, let's play around with some things. And I was like, all right, this is pretty great. I like this a whole lot. And then at the fashion show, a couple of people come up and like, oh, I really like that. How'd you make that? And I'm like, all right, so being sustainable and creating from what you already have, you give second life to clothing. So you have a lot of clothes that you'll find in thrift stores, for example. A lot of those clothing, you think, okay, I'm giving that to the community, people are gonna buy them, my clothes will have a second run at life. Okay, great, and some do. So what happens to the clothes that don't sell? Well, a lot of those organizations will take clothing and send them to developing countries. Some of those developing countries, some of the clothing works out, but a lot of those clothes that don't sell are the clothes that have the holes and the tears, the clothes that I take and I tear apart and I make into something new. So when those countries don't have a use for that clothing, where do they end up? Landfills, in water bodies, so the ocean, lakes, river streams, so forth. Now, the one t-shirt, like t-shirt you have right now, you go to a store, you like the shirt, you buy it, right? Okay. A third of a pound of chemicals go into making one shirt. Now, those toxins also go into our environment. They also go into the people who are making this clothing, which, you know, most of the fabric and clothing we have is outsourced overseas. So when you have companies who are outsourcing manufacturing of clothing, people are making less than minimum wage in the US. The ventilation and the health codes, they're not up to par for the most part. Companies like Nike and Puma, there's a huge accident, I believe it was in China, where a lot of factory workers, I think about 1,000 were either injured or killed due to poor health codes, ventilations, buildings, the whole nine. So they're actually coming into the sustainability niche. Now, being sustainable, you're keeping everything local. That's one thing that I'm really big about. Now, it's having your community involved. And, okay, this is home base. And I look around, I'm like, okay, we have a lot of potential here, what's going on? Now let's bring people into it and make this fun. So I had a lot of folks with UVYL initially who come to me and they're like, oh, well, you're sustainable, we really like that, so what do you do? And I told them, okay, the upcycling and repurposing, I take things that people discard and that find their ways in landfills and I give it life again. Now, I have Ashley, who actually came to me and she's like, can you go through my closet? I don't know what I have and there's stuff that I don't wear. Okay, so we went through her closet, she had this skirt, she's like, I really love it and I put some paper, like some safety pins in it to keep the holes closed. But I have all these other dresses that I don't wear, so can you do something with that? Okay, so I met with her and I did a consultation and she gave me 4 dresses and a skirt. She really likes the skirt. Okay, the skirt has the integrity. Now, what am I going to do with these other 4 dresses that already have shape and form, have already been given a pattern and been designed? I redesigned that. So this is kind of a work in progress. And I have her dress with me today. Let's see, I have a couple of things. So this is the skirt itself, just this top part here. So mind you, this is still a work in progress. And it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna take your dresses and I'm gonna shred them. So hope you like it.
I do.
So I took 2 or 3 of her dresses and I just cut them into triangles. So you have to have a vision, you have to have a relationship with your client, and you have to jive off their personality, what they want, and work with them. Okay, you're involving your community there, you're making relationships, and you're being sustainable all in one. Now, by doing so, I don't like to charge an exponential amount. Okay, people say, well, if you're taking stuff that was already worn before and then you're doing something to it and then you're selling it again, how is that actually any different from me just going to a store? Okay, that's a good question. Now I was speaking to a woman today whose daughter's friend lost a button off her jeans and she's like, oh, I paid $60 for these jeans, so I guess I can just toss them out now. No, not necessarily. She put a new button on and voila, jeans were good. So when you're taking something and you're repairing something or you're transforming something, it's an art. And you're providing for people a vision of themselves. So Define You is really driven with individuality in mind. So taking someone's vision, working with them, knowing what your community is about, and implementing that into an initiative that is good and ethical and provides the networking and relationships just all around. So that being said, how did Define You come about? Now, I have a sister who is my brother now, and Elsa was a lesbian for a very long time, and she was going through the ropes of self-discovery and so forth, and said she felt like she was a man. And so my sister's a transgendered man, and living in Denver, he found himself a lot. With that does not come an easy feat by any means. Finding an individual voice and a sound is really a challenge. And going through the transitions personally and then in a public matter, and then having the opinions of others, it really motivated me. So people will see my line and they're like, oh, well, you make a lot of women's clothing, right? No, I don't. They may look like women's clothing to you, but step outside the paradigm. If you look at the clothing, they're for people. Anybody can wear them. I have some tutus, tulle out there for men want to wear, by all means. If that's what makes you feel like you, it makes you feel good about yourself, that's what Define You is all about. It's not about, oh, well, you're female, so you have to wear this. Oh, you're female and you're this size, that's not gonna work. You have a lot of fast fashions in the fashion industry itself. It gives you the mentality that you have to be a certain size. You have to look a certain way, and that's crap. So, Define You is about making clothes that fit you for you. I have clients that will come to me and they're like, oh, I have this dress, I really love it, but I need it to fit me in a certain way. Ellie Hannigan came to me today, and she's saying, I really love this polka dotted dress. I'm like, yeah, it's so cute, but I'm having some issues with it fitting in certain places. So this is the integrity of the dress. And a lot of my business is doing this part for people, which I love. It's making the clothes fit them. And that's another part of Define You. You're wearing clothing that you're making for you. It's not you for the clothing. So she gave me another dress. So looking at it, I was like, okay, so we can take components and integrity of this dress, incorporate it into this dress, and jive it with who you are, and make you feel beautiful and wonderful in it. And that's what Define You is all about. So when you think about fast fashions, you think about big box stores. You think about Kmart, think of Walmart, think of JCPenney's, Kohl's, all those. So fast fashions, what that means is it's fast. It's all mass produced in factories and so forth. There's no integrity really behind the creation of it. Everything I do is with mindfulness, with the creation and the design. Seeing what drives your community, how you can build those relationships with others, and how you can give back to the community and get others involved and excited about it as well. With fast fashions, again, you have the chemicals that are going into just making a t-shirt a third of a pound. So where's all of that going? It's going into your environment. It's going into the lungs of those people who are creating these fast fashions for you that they're not gonna see, that they're making like $2 an hour for, and a lot of them are kids. You go over to Southeast Asia, and a lot of those factory workers, they don't have labor laws like we do. You see a lot of small children in there. And they have to do it because you have really poor economies, and then you have families with multiple children. Kids have to go to work too. You're 6 years old, you're up in the factory. And by allowing that to occur, you're motivating that, and you're pushing that drive to continue that. And that doesn't need to happen. It can all stay locally based. By taking clothing and making it sustainable, you're not only creating a line of fashion that is fun and colorful and jiving for your individual personality, you're giving back to your community and your environment. And that's what Define You is all about. So when I have people, I get really excited when folks are saying, oh, well, this doesn't fit me anymore. I think I'm just going to toss it. Do you want it? I'm like, well, do you like it? Well, yeah, but it doesn't fit. Okay, well, forget about that. Let's see what we have and let's work with you. Let's see what we can do for you. If you want to keep it, let's keep it. And like, don't worry about the money piece. We'll get there. It's not about making the profits for me. It's about making my community feel beautiful and wonderful, and as though they're a piece of something that gives back to your environment and so forth. So, I guess I'll give you an idea. I was in, I think I mentioned, I was in the Main Street Fashion Show beginning of May. I was brought into that 2 days before the show. And Mark Merrill was like, oh, let me see what you have for designs. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I've been working on a couple of things, and this is what, he's like, funk punk. I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay, let's try to run with it. So I created this, and one of my models for this. So what I did is I took 3 different shirts. One had a design, and then the fabric, and I overlaid it. And then I also took more fabrics, made pockets, and then just did some holes, just to make it funky. And added a belt. Now this is the button-up of a button-up shirt. And that's kind of the idea of just thinking outside that paradigm and going with it. Now this is like, okay, well, there's some integrity there, but now I'm gonna upcycle what I upcycled. And I'll take that decal and I'll put it on the back of a jacket next. And then I'll advertise it and be like, all right, this is up for grabs if you want it. And if somebody's like, oh, well, can you do this, can you do that with it? Absolutely. Because it's not about me, it's not about my business per se, it's about my community. So, that's just far new. I can take questions now or later, if anybody has any.
Erin, there was a question.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you doing as a business?
As a business,
Yeah.
I have a lot of people in the community who are really wonderful. So really getting involved with the Main Street Museum and doing the fashion show, that was a huge it was almost overnight where I had people that, oh, well, can you meet with me so I can talk to you about some stuff that I have that has been sitting in my closet for about a year or so. It's like, I have this dress that's really great, maybe we can do pants with it. So it's good. I mean, it's mostly word of mouth, and I'm hoping to kind of shift into the local storefront scene now and getting that out there. People are like, oh, can I buy your stuff at Revolution? Oh, can I buy your stuff at Oodles? Can I buy it locally? We're getting there. I create, I design, I do the marketing, I do all of it. I'm a one-lady operation. So it's a lot for one person, being a parent and so forth. But if you have perseverance and determination, you can get it. So yeah, I do have a client base, and it's growing, and it's exciting and overwhelming all in one.
Would you consider starting a business cooperative to have more workers?
I would. There's a
After
lot
that,
of
yeah.
different specifications that go hand in hand with that.
Right.
As far as legalities go and so forth, I mean, it's absolutely I would consider, because it is about the community
Yeah.
being all parts.
I mean, it sounds like a good fit, that's why I asked.
Yeah, definitely something I would consider down the road.